I don't even know where to start today. My hands are shaking as I hold this recorder, and maybe that's a good thing. At least it means I'm alive, really alive, after months of just existing. I've been careful to smile, to nod, to tell my husband everything is fine. But it's not fine. Nothing is fine anymore. Daniel came over this afternoon. He always does. He says it's just to check on the house, to help with things my husband is too busy for. And maybe that's true. Maybe it is just work. But I can't believe that anymore. The way he looks at me, the way he smiles, it's not just friendliness. Felt it today. I felt the way the air between us changed the instant he stepped inside. He brought the blueprints I had asked for, and we talked about them, standing too close, laughing too softly. My pulse wouldn't stop racing. I caught myself noticing things. Little things I shouldn't. The curve of his jaw, the warmth of his hand as he passed me a sheet of paper. The way his eyes lingered a second too long. I tried to focus on the work, on the plans, on anything but what I was feeling. But every time he smiled, it felt like he could see right through me. And maybe he does. Maybe that's why it's so dangerous. Because he knows exactly what he's doing, and I don't know if I can stop myself from letting it happen. When he left, I didn't close the door properly. I just stood there, staring at the hall, my body buzzing with something I can't even name. Desire, excitement, fear. All of it mixed together. I touched my lips, wondering if I had imagined the way he brushed against my arm. But I know I didn't. I can still feel it, electric, impossible to ignore. Keep replaying it. That look. The one he gave me across the living room yesterday. It wasn't a glance. It wasn't casual. It was something loaded, something that made my stomach tighten in a way I didn't think was possible anymore. My husband was on a call, pacing back and forth, unaware. I wanted to laugh or scream or do something, anything just to break the tension. But Daniel didn't break it. He didn't apologize. He just stayed there, quiet, letting me feel every second. I wanted to walk away, but I couldn't. My body betrayed me, as if it knew a truth my mind refused to accept. I've never felt this before. Not with my husband. Not with anyone. It's wrong, I know it is. But it feels alive, full, electric. And that scares me more than anything. It rained today. I stayed inside, looking out at the water streaking down the glass. Daniel came over again just to check on the house. He was wet, shaking off an umbrella, hair plastered to his forehead. I felt something in my chest, something I can't name. My heart wanted to leap forward and stop at the same time. We talked quietly, standing near the kitchen counter. His hand brushed mine. Lightly, almost by accident, or maybe not. I didn't pull away. Couldn't. The air between us thickened. Heavy with words we didn't speak but understood perfectly. I could feel his presence everywhere. In the room, in my chest, in the heat of my own skin. My mind raced, imagining what it would be like if he leaned closer, if I just let the moment stretch. I forced myself to step back, to remember who I am, who I promised to be. But my body didn't listen. My pulse was too loud, my breaths too short. I caught myself touching my lips later, thinking of the warmth of his hand, the closeness of his presence. Feel guilty, yes, but also alive. And that terrifies me. We didn't speak about what was happening. We never do. But it's there. That tension, that quiet understanding in every glance. Sometimes he laughs at something mundane, and I feel my chest tighten. Sometimes I pass him in the hall, and the air shifts, as if something is waiting to explode. I've started dreaming about him. Not dreams of actions, of intimacy, but dreams of presence. Being near him. Feeling his energy, his warmth. My dreams wake me at odd hours, with a heartbeat that won't settle, and a longing that I can't name. When my husband hugs me in the morning, I feel the comparison in the tiniest ways. I love him, I do. But it's a different kind of love. Steady. Familiar. And Daniel is fire. He's dangerous. He's chaos that makes me feel something I thought I had lost forever. Caught him looking at me today. Really looking. Not the friendly glance, not the casual smile. but the way someone looks when they see the part of you you hide even from yourself. Froze. He froze. And for one stretched second, the room disappeared, leaving only the two of us and the weight of the silence. I wanted to speak. I wanted to say something. I wanted to step back. But I didn't. I just let the silence stretch, thick and charged. It said everything we weren't allowed to say. Everything we were thinking but afraid to admit. The rain outside tapped on the windows again, soft and steady. It matched the rhythm of my pulse, rapid and uneven. I wanted to move, to act, to do anything, but the only thing I could do was breathe. Breathe and remember that some lines can never be crossed. And yet, the pull is irresistible. I never realized how quiet the house could feel when it's just me. My husband is gone as usual for another late meeting, and the silence presses against my ears. It's not peaceful. Not anymore. There's a tension in the air, a memory of yesterday, of Daniel. He stayed longer than usual today. He said he needed to check something in the study, but I knew it was a pretense. I could feel it in the way he moved, slow, deliberate, not quite casual. Every glance, every step felt heavy, full of unspoken meaning. I tried to read the blueprints, to pretend the world was normal. But it wasn't. My mind kept wandering to the brush of his hand when he handed me a folder, the way his gaze lingered on me longer than necessary. I felt my pulse in my throat, and my stomach fluttered. There was a moment just before he left, when he leaned slightly closer as if to whisper something, but then paused. I held my breath, hoping, fearing. And then he just smiled, turned, and walked away. My heart was racing long after I heard the door click behind him. I went out to the garden to water the plants, to distract myself. The sunlight was harsh on my skin, and the quiet hum of the city in the distance was a dull reminder that life was moving on outside my private storm. Daniel appeared at the gate. Not officially invited, but he knew the route in. He held a clipboard, looked like he had something important to say. We spoke about the garden, the sunlight, the roses that bloomed too early. And yet, beneath the words, there was something else. A tension I couldn't ignore, a vibration in the air that pulled at me. He smiled softly, brushing a fallen leaf from my sleeve. My chest tightened. I wanted to pull away, and yet I stayed. Just a simple gesture and I felt it, the electricity of it. I looked at him, and for a second, the world shrank to just the two of us, the roses and the heavy hum of summer. I felt guilty, felt alive, felt fear. And I wanted more. He left a note today. Not a text, not a call. A small piece of paper slipped under the door while I was in the shower. Just a few words. I'll be around later. Don't be afraid to stay a little longer in the study. I read it over and over. My hands were shaking. I felt heat rise in my cheeks. My heartbeat echoed in my ears. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. I wanted to run. When he arrived, we worked together on the study plans. My husband's absence hung between us like a shadow. Our hands brushed while handling papers. Our shoulders touched as we bent over the table. I could feel it, the tension in the air, thick, electric. Every glance, every accidental touch, was a silent conversation. Words we couldn't say. Desires we couldn't act on. But the room vibrated with it, and I couldn't escape. I decided to take a walk in the late evening to clear my head. The streetlights cast long shadows, and the summer air was warm, heavy with the scent of asphalt and night flowers. He met me halfway down the street, casual, as if he was only coincidentally there. And yet I knew better. We walked together, shoulder to shoulder, close enough to feel the other's warmth but careful not to cross invisible lines. We talked about nothing in particular, and everything in particular. Every laugh, every pause, every glance carried weight. I could feel him watching me, sensing my hesitations, my small betrayals of thought. And I knew he felt the same. We didn't speak of what was forbidden, but we didn't need to. The air itself was heavy with the unspoken. I lay in bed, alone, my husband's side empty as usual. The house was quiet, except for my own thoughts pounding in my ears. My mind kept replaying the afternoon, The brush of hands, the stolen glances, the note, the walk. I felt guilty. I felt exhilarated. Felt fear. And yet, a part of me was grateful. Grateful for the tension, for the reminder that I was alive, that I could still feel, that desire could still reach me even when I thought I had grown numb. I touched the recorder again, whispering into it, trying to capture the storm inside me. It's impossible to describe fully, but I'll try because I need to remember. I need to make sense of the chaos inside my chest, and maybe someday I'll forgive myself or understand myself through these words. I didn't mean to let it happen. I told myself over and over that I wouldn't. That I was a wife, a woman who had made a promise, who loved her husband in her own way. And yet, here I am, sitting at the edge of something I shouldn't have, feeling the pull so strongly that it almost hurts. Daniel came today with more plans for the study. I should have been focused, precise, professional. But every time he leaned over the table, every time our hands brushed, it was electric. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips, in my neck, in my chest. My thoughts scattered. I wanted to tell him to stop. I wanted to step away. I wanted to run. And at the same time I wanted to stay. To let the moment exist just a little longer. That quiet intensity between us was intoxicating. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years, and it scared me. That evening my husband was away again. I invited Daniel to stay for dinner. Just me and him. Something in the way he looked at me as I prepared the table made my heart stutter. I tried to focus on the pasta, the salad, anything but him. But he leaned close to pour a glass of wine, and I caught his scent. Clean, sharp, familiar. And the effect was immediate. We talked about everything and nothing, laughter punctuating the heavy silence that had settled between us. Every so often, our hands would touch across the table, fleetingly, as if neither of us dared acknowledge it. But the tension was there. It hummed in the space between us. I realized then how much I had been denying myself, denying the existence of desire, of temptation. And suddenly I was aware of every sensation, the warmth of the room, the weight of his gaze, the electricity in my own skin. I can't tell anyone this. Not my husband, not my friends. Only this recorder knows. Only these words. I think about him constantly now. Not in the way one thinks about a friend or a colleague or someone passing through your life. But in a way that sets your heart racing, makes your breath shallow, makes ordinary moments unbearable. I wonder if he knows. I wonder if he feels it too. We haven't acted on it. Not in the way that would cross the line. But every glance, every touch, every shared laugh carries weight. And I feel it. Deeply. I don't know if it's love. I don't know if it's lust. I just know it's dangerous and I can't stop it. He stayed late again today. My husband's absence is a constant shadow over us, and yet it feels liberating in a way I hadn't expected. We worked in silence for a long while. The only sound the scribble of pens, the shuffle of papers. I could feel him near me, could sense his attention, his awareness of every subtle movement I made. I wanted to step closer to bridge the invisible distance. But I didn't. Not yet. After he left, I wandered the house, touching the surfaces he had touched, imagining him standing there again. It's foolish, maybe. Obsessive. But it's real. And I can't deny it. Tonight I felt the closest to giving in. We were alone, the storm outside thrumming against the windows. His hand brushed mine as we reached for the same sheet of paper. The world shrank to that instant. To warmth, to tension, to desire held back. I wanted to tell him everything. To say the words that burned in my chest. But the words didn't come. Instead we just stood there, eyes locked, breathing uneven. The silence spoke louder than anything we could say. I think that's when I realized the truth. Some connections aren't meant to be acted upon. Some fires are too dangerous to touch. And yet the pull doesn't fade. Not in me. Not in him. My husband returned the next morning. I hugged him, felt the safety of familiarity, the rhythm of a life I had built. Daniel didn't call. He didn't come by. And part of me was relieved. Another part ached with the memory of what almost happened, what we almost allowed ourselves to feel. I keep this diary close now, whispering to it at night. Knows. It understands the conflict, the desire, the danger, and the excitement. Some nights when the house is quiet, I think of him. The way he looks at me. The way he makes the air between us feel alive. And I wonder, does he remember it too? Does he feel it still, or have I imagined it all? The answer doesn't matter. The memory is enough. The fire remains, even if only in whispers, even if only in the space between us.